When German engineers at Rechlin scraped away silver paint from a captured American fuel tank in March 1944, they expected aluminum. What they discovered would haunt the Third Reich until its final collapse. Beneath that metallic coating lay layer upon layer of ordinary paper. The fuel tanks that carried American fighters all the way to Berlin and back were made from laminated kraft paper, the same material used for grocery bags. In that moment, staring at those compressed paper fibers, the scientists understood something no combat report had conveyed. The air war over Europe was already lost. This is the story of how a paper fuel tank became the symbol of American industrial supremacy and marked the beginning of the end for the Luftwaffe. On March 4, 1944, something impossible occurred over Berlin. American P-51 Mustang fighters appeared escorting heavy bombers directly over the German capital. Every careful calculation by Luftwaffe intelligence had concluded this could not happen. No single-engine fighter could fly from England to Berlin and back. The distance was too great, the fuel requirements too massive. The math simply did not work. Yet there they were. American fighters engaging Luftwaffe interceptors in aggressive dogfights over the heart of the Reich, showing no signs of fuel conservation. General Adolf Galland, one of Germany's most celebrated fighter aces with over 100 aerial victories, witnessed this and was shaken to his core. These Americans were not flying cautiously at the edge of their range. They were hunting German aircraft with all the time in the world. 2 days later, on March 6th, approximately 660 American bombers attacked Berlin in broad daylight. Over 150 Mustangs provided continuous escort. The escort fighters engaged Luftwaffe interceptors throughout the entire mission and accompanied the bombers all the way home to England. The Americans had solved the escort fighter problem everyone believed was fundamentally unsolvable. A captured P-51 Mustang arrived at the Rechlin testing facility on March 6th, transported by rail from a crash site near Brandenburg. The young American pilot had not survived, but his aircraft remained largely intact with navigation charts still in the cockpit. The route was marked clearly from an airfield at Dedna in England, directly to Berlin and back again. The round trip measured over 1,100 miles. The technical evaluation began immediately. Engineers measured every aspect of the P-51B with meticulous precision. The aircraft carried 269 gallons of internal fuel distributed between wing tanks and a fuselage tank behind the cockpit. The Packard-built Merlin engine consumed fuel at approximately 70 gallons per hour at cruise power. This yielded a maximum range of about 1,140 miles. Just barely enough for the Berlin mission with no reserves whatsoever for combat. Yet Luftwaffe pilots reported prolonged dogfights lasting 15 to 20 minutes directly over the capital, with American fighters attacking aggressively at full power. Such fuel expenditure should have left those aircraft stranded somewhere over the North Sea. The internal fuel calculations could not explain what Germans were witnessing. The answer had to be external fuel tanks. Search teams spread across the countryside northeast of Berlin, hunting through fields and forests for debris. Drop tanks would be jettisoned when enemy fighters were encountered, as external stores reduced both speed and maneuverability. Within 3 days, 2 intact specimens were recovered from soft farmland where winter wheat had cushioned their fall. The captured tanks were cylindrical, measuring about 108 inches in length, holding 108 gallons each. The tanks provided 216 additional gallons, extending Mustang capacity to 485 gallons. Now the mathematics finally made sense. The aircraft could fly for 6.7 hours with substantial reserves for combat. But what captured German attention was not the capacity. It was what they were made of. Running a hand along the surface revealed a texture completely unlike aluminum or steel. Engineers scraped away the silver paint and found multiple layers of heavy paper beneath. Each layer perhaps half a millimeter thick, laminated together with resinous adhesive. The nose and tail cones were formed from overlapping pieces pressed into shape like papier-mâché. The interior was coated with lacquer to resist gasoline corrosion. But the body of the tank itself was paper, the same kraft paper used for heavy-duty shipping containers and commercial packaging. German materials specialists analyzed the construction in exhaustive detail. The adhesive was resorcianyl-formaldehyde resin, a thermosetting polymer that created bonds stronger than the paper itself. The lamination involved at least 12 separate layers, each carefully oriented to provide structural strength in multiple directions. Wood and anti-slosh baffles were installed inside to prevent fuel from surging during combat maneuvers. Every aspect reflected systematic engineering, nearing optimization for mass production. The implications struck the technical staff at Rechlin like a physical blow. The Americans were manufacturing critical military equipment from completely non-strategic materials. No aluminum, no steel, no copper, no zinc. These tanks required no skilled metalworkers, no specialized welding equipment, no precision forming machinery. They could be produced in any paper mill or packaging factory across America with simple modifications to existing equipment. American paper production exceeded 12 million tons annually before the war, with capacity increasing during mobilization. Converting even 1% to dropped ink production would yield over 100,000 units monthly, far exceeding any operational requirement. And this was precisely the type of manufacturing that could be performed by semi-skilled workers after minimal training. Women, elderly men, teenagers, anyone following basic assembly instructions could build these tanks on production lines. The tanks were deliberately designed for single use. The resorcianyl adhesive, while strong when cured, slowly dissolved with prolonged gasoline contact. Captured American aircrew confirmed that paper tanks had to be filled immediately before flight and could not be stored filled for more than a few hours. But this was a feature, not a flaw. Fill before takeoff, use for a few hours during the mission, discard over enemy territory. No recovery required, expendable by design. The Americans were literally throwing away their fuel tanks after every mission because they could build new ones faster than they could recover old ones. The scale of this wastefulness was beyond anything German planners had imagined. German intelligence traced the original design to British development in 1943. The Air Ministry in London had commissioned paper fuel tanks to conserve strategic metals. Bowwater Scott Corporation developed the manufacturing process. American forces quickly adopted the design and scaled production to industrial levels. British ingenuity combined with American manufacturing muscle. Technical staff conducted systematic reviews of other captured American equipment. The pattern they found was consistent and deeply troubling. American equipment was not always technologically superior to German equivalents. German optics were often better. German designs frequently more sophisticated. German metallurgy, in some respects, more advanced. But American equipment was consistently better manufactured, more standardized, more reliable in field conditions, and available in vastly greater quantities. The American approach prioritized producibility over perfection at every stage. German weapons were technical masterpieces, hand-fitted by skilled craftsmen. A German engine represented the peak of precision engineering. But producing such equipment required trained craftsmen, specialized tools, and significant time per unit. Germans built superior individual items. Americans built adequate items in overwhelming quantity. In industrial warfare, quantity proved absolutely decisive. North American aviation had designed the original Mustang prototype in just 117 days after receiving the contract. By 1944, combined output averaged 570 for aircraft monthly. At peak efficiency, in January 1945, a new Mustang rolled off the line every 2 hours. German fighter production could not compete despite desperate efforts. Messerschmitt and Focke-Wulf combined produced approximately 600 fighters monthly. Despite emergency programs and forced labor, output could never match American capacity. American aluminum production reached 1.25 million tons in 1944, roughly 10 times German capacity. Germany peaked at 250,000 tons and output was declining as Allied bombing destroyed facilities. The decision to manufacture drop tanks from paper reflected not American scarcity, but industrial optimization. Paper was cheaper, faster, and freed aluminum for other uses. Efficiency, not desperation. The paper drop tank became a powerful symbol throughout the Luftwaffe. Captured examples were displayed at technical briefings. Pilots examined the tanks and calculated what they meant for survival. The message was inescapable. American fighters could escort bombers to any target in Germany. The previous defensive strategy was rendered obsolete. Luftwaffe interceptors had survived by waiting for Allied escorts to reach fuel limits and turn back. That approach had cost American crews terribly throughout 1943, but escorts equipped with paper tanks no longer turned back. Every intercept now required fighting through the protective screen first. Galland reported his assessments to senior leadership throughout spring 1944. The P-51 was superior, above 20,000 feet. Faster than the Bf-109 at altitude. More maneuverable than the FW-190. German fighters could no longer catch bombers after escorts departed because escorts no longer departed. Loss rates climbed at alarming speed. January 1940 for 90 German day fighters lost. February 160 lost. The exchange was unsustainable. Allies could replace losses faster than Germany inflicted them. Summer 1940 brought absolute catastrophe. Daily deep penetration raids when weather permitted. Continuous Mustang escort from takeoff to landing. June saw 350-day fighters lost. July exceeded 350 losses, representing 31% monthly attrition. August brought 36% attrition. Experienced pilots died faster than replacements could possibly be trained. New German pilots arrived with perhaps 150 hours of flight time against Americans with 300 hours or more. Many German replacements had barely 30 hours in their assigned aircraft before combat. Galland's September 1940 report to Hitler was brutally honest. The Luftwaffe could not win the air war. Germany lacked resources, fuel, aircraft, and trained pilots to contest Allied superiority. Americans replaced losses faster than Germany could inflict them. The only strategy was to conserve resources and hope for political settlement. Paper tanks continued falling across Germany through late 1944 and 1945. Civilians recognized silver cylinders in fields and forests. Initial reports described them as unexploded bombs until authorities identified them as empty tanks. The psychological impact was noted in morale reports. Enemy aircraft overhead in such numbers that contrails crisscrossed the sky. Casually throwing away expendable tanks reinforced that Allies had resources to waste while Germany scraped for every drop of fuel. Could Germany manufacture similar tanks? Technically, yes. German industry could produce resins on kraft paper, but practically no. Chemical production was maximized for rubber and explosives. Paper mills committed to military documents. Most critically, there was no operational need. By late 1944, German fighters were not flying offensive missions. They fought desperate defensive battles over their own airfields. Range was not the limitation. Fuel was. Allied bombing had systematically destroyed synthetic fuel plants. Aviation gasoline became critically scarce. Fighter units were grounded. New aircrafts had unable to be delivered. Thousands of fighters existed on paper, while few had fuel to fly. Contrast was complete and devastating. The American problem how to extend range to carry war to the enemy. The German problem how to find enough fuel to fly at all. When war ended in May 1945, Allied teams surveyed our Rechlin. They found the captured P-51 still in its hangar alongside the dissected paper tanks. German reports were recovered, meticulously documented. Those reports told of combat intention ears confronting reality their calculations could not change. The paper drop tank is not a story of dramatic combat or brilliant tactics. It is written in manufacturing capacity and resource allocation. Kraft paper and resource anno resin, assembly lines and production quotas, the relentless mathematics of industrial warfare. Americans did not win because of better pilots or superior aircraft, though both claims have merit. They won because they produced adequate aircraft in overwhelming numbers, supplied with tanks made from paper because they had paper to spare, flown by pilots with hundreds of training hours before combat. Germany built masterpieces. America built quantities. Over the Reich, quantity proved decisive. The paper-dropped tank was a small artifact of vast conflict, a cylinder of laminated paper manufactured by thousands, discarded without thought. But within its layers, it contained the essential truth of why the air war ended as it did. The Reich was not merely outfought, it was outproduced, overwhelmed by industrial capacity that could throw away grocery bag material because plenty more was coming. Victory was delivered one paper tank at a time, falling across Germany like autumn leaves, each a monument to industrial democracy. German scientists at Rechlin understood this truth when they scraped away silver paint and found paper beneath. They discovered not just how the Mustang reached Berlin, but why Germany would lose the war. And so Mustangs kept coming, day after day, their paper tanks glinting silver as they climbed toward Germany. They dropped those tanks over enemy territory when fighting started, and empty cylinders tumbled through cold air to land across the Reich. Silent witnesses to industrial might crushing the Third Reich from above. Each one cost nothing to produce and represented everything Germany could not match. If you want more hardcore breakdowns of history's greatest industrial victories, smash that like button and subscribe. I'm your strategy observer, and I'll see you on the next battlefield.